Guys who married early, what's your take on marriage at 25? Some people get married at 18 and stay together for life. Some people get married at 32 and only stay together a few years. Guess it depends on your relationship and why you are wanting to get married. Ask yourself why you want to marry. Is it because you cannot imagine life without your partner and you know she's the one, or for example, if you wanting it because you feeling pressure from her, society and family etc. Don't do it. I got married at age 24 for the wrong reasons. I regret it now. I think there's a lot of people who think they know someone is the one early in a relationship, but haven't considered / experienced a lot of potential versions of their future together. It's easy to think someone is perfect for the rest of your life if you've only been through good times together and assume that will continue. You also want to have confidence that you can make it through difficult times, disagreements, grief, financial hardship, career challenges, family troubles, ill health including mental health etc. before I think you can really rely on your feeling that someone is the one. So my 2 pence is that, as well as doing it for the right reasons, ground those good reasons in some no-nonsense practicality. I got married at 23. We both had a lot of growing to do, but we were genuinely crazy about each other and wanted to grow together. That was almost 21 years ago, and we are still growing. I can only really speak for myself, but it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. IDKY, but this just put a broad smile on my face. So, I got married at 18, after dropping out of HS. She was a couple years older. We were both really fucked up kids and had a lot of work to do on ourselves before we could even think about working on us. It took a decade for us to become mostly functional adults, and we were incredibly toxic to each other for the first decade or more. Now, we are 20+ years in with 2 kids. Life is great. We are happy. But I consider this more of a task failed successfully type of thing, rather than a you should do it the way we did. Edit to add. Most of the toxicity was on my behalf. I had severe, untreated mental illness, and we both had myriad unresolved issues from our upbringing, along with 2 combative and dysfunctional families of origin. I feel this. While I don't think my husband and I fall into this failing successfully, there have been points in time I have said we have stayed together because we are both stubborn and have stubbornly committed to this relationship. There were times we both should have walked away, but we are still together. We grew up together and gave each other space to grow and change, and supported that growth. That last part, the support of growth and betterment, is why I think it works. As long as it is the right person. Don't just marry some chick cause you knocked her up. I also recommend not knocking anyone up. Best thing I ever did. Married at 25 and still married nearly 40 years later. The only secret and hard part is to find the best person in the world and persuade them to marry you. However, if you're thinking of getting married and have to ask this question, don't do it. Hard part is to find the best person in the world 43 and still not found her. Sigh. It worked so far for me. I was married at 22 and it will be 22 years this June. There will be a need for a lot of growth and conversation though. Some years are tougher than others, but if you keep up communication and are honest with one another, you will have a lifelong friend and partner with shared experiences that you will be able to long back on fondly and have years to look forward to together. Married for 40 years at the age of 28, which was a bit late back then. Things that I learned. Don't go into deep debt for a wedding. It's easier to avoid when you are young and have less income. You will be more tolerant of excessive demands when you are older. Have the kids early and ignore any advice about waiting until you can afford them, or have bought a house first. You can never afford them, and they only really need what you can provide. If you wait, not only are they more exhausting as you age, but they also drain your bank accounts for college when you should be squirreling away money for retirement. Domestication is difficult when you are younger. Get really good at cleaning the bathroom spotlessly and on schedule without being asked. Own that job. It pays back in multiples. Learn to cook. Take a couple of evening courses if necessary. Don't trial and error at your wife's expense. Negotiate a schedule of when you are cooking and stick to it. Household tasks and taking care of the kids should be shared from day one. Do not let yourself get pushed out of that role. It's enticing to let it go when you are younger. None of the above are altruistic. They take away the tradition complaint zones. Your life will be more peaceful. It's wiser to start all this on your own than waiting to be asked. Here's a bonus tip if you are young and considering marriage. If you are going to buy rings, do not buy new ones at a general jewelry store. Go to a pawn shop where they will be half the price. There's plenty available with the current divorce levels. Then go to a real jeweler and have them reset, cleaned up and polished completely so they look brand new. They will even resize them if needed. Never tell anyone and swear the jeweler to secrecy in case you need to bring them back in for repair. Married at 26. Still married 22 years later. Same. Well, 20 years later. Same. Similar years. There are some great marriage success studies. If you are both high school graduates, your marital success is higher. If you are both college graduates, even higher. If you are both over 22 at marriage, even higher. And so on. The vast majority of divorces happen without one or more of these factors. If you found the right person, go along and be happy. That whole FOMO thing is stupid anyways. Honestly, dating FOMO is deadly these days. People just hop from person to person hoping for a prince/princess charming until suddenly they are just numb to any personal romantic connection at all, since it's all being gamified to them, and wonder why they can't hold a meaningful relationship, or when they finally do they can't stop thinking about opportunity cost. I know plenty of women like this who feel emotionally empty in their relationships, or men like this who literally can't organize them in long-term relationships. If you got someone that you're happy with who makes you a better you, then you're solid. Most people change an awful lot between 20 and 30, so waiting to see if you are still compatible may not be a bad idea, but as with almost anything, there are as many examples to prove that point as there are the opposite. It just comes down to you and your particular situation. I mean, change all the time at all ages. The point is to grow with your partner. The trick is knowing yourself. Some people get too invested in their independence early that marriage later won't work because they are stuck in that lifestyle too long. Some young people don't get enough of it and rush into marriage, which leads to divorce and unhappiness. It's the same with children. Some young parents feel trapped by their children because they had them young and missed out on so much. Some have them in their late 20s and into their 30s and regret having them because they are so used to their child-free lifestyle that having children now is dampening on their time and careers that they've worked so hard for. The trick is knowing who you are and not letting anyone or anything dissuade you from doing what you feel is right for yourself. That's how people who marry young stay together for life, and young parents feel contented with their children, or vice versa. There is no right or wrong. I honestly don't think I was ready, but I don't regret it. It was the right decision for me. I got married pretty much right out of college at 22. My girlfriend got pregnant, so don't listen to her when she says that it's safe to have unprotected sex. Of course it happened when things were really rocky and I was considering breaking up with her. I did the right thing and married her. I have a feeling that was her plan the whole time. I really tried to make it work, but instead endured about 18 years of emotional abuse. Nothing that I ever did was right, even though I had a great job, did all the house cleaning, laundry, yard work and devoted my life to our kids. I ended up pretty much giving up hope and became a hollow shell of myself. Even after she told me that she was gay and she insisted that we stay together for the children. It took me getting cancer and having to deal with it without her support for me to finally realize that life is too short and I deserve to be happy. That's when I finally left her. The only good things to come out of it are my 3 kids who are now independent young adults. I got married at 28. I'm 35 now, and my wife and I have been together for over 10 years, including dating. I do wish we got married earlier and started having kids sooner. That being said, it was pretty clear from the beginning that my wife and I had something special. On the same page about everything. Great communication. Wonderful connection. I knew she was the one after a couple months. We had our first kid when we were 32 and I'm starting to feel old. Haha. Don't base your marriage on your age. Base it on your foundation. Are you financially fit to provide for a family? Are you fit to take care of yourself? Can you survive if the relationship fails? Can you generate enough revenue and resources to remain as stable as possible? If she took half, what would that leave you with in terms of assets and cash on hand? Does she admire and respect you? Do you love and cherish her? Is there a strong sense of support and kindness between you? If you look at this woman today, understand that that's the person you're marrying, not your fantasy of her, not your ideal version, and not some 10-year projection. I married at 22, divorced at 32. Edit, for insight. We married because I got her pregnant. We were engaged already, but pushed the date up, skipping some therapy and other needed things. Learn to trust the process involved in learning to love and be loved by someone. Got married at 24, divorced by 30. You do a lot of growing up and changing in your 20s. We were totally different people by the end of the marriage from what we were at the start. I wish I had waited. I'm very sorry that happened to you. I hope things have gotten better. Married 10 months ago at 24. Currently on the fence about leaving due to Mill. What did she do? Scared shitless about her subtle meddling with my marriage. She may think she's doing well, but is doing a lot of damage. It's cultural nonsense lol. Married at 21 to my high school sweetheart who picked me from the herd at age 16. Married 46 years and counting. It depends on who you are and who you are marrying. There's no predicting it outside those parameters. And honestly, I certainly don't think 25 is young to marry. My 2 cents worth. 25 to 30 is when you should be open to the possibility. After 30, assuming you want to be a married man, is when you should start putting specific focus into it. A lot of men who get married early put more focus on getting married than in establishing a good foundation for their lives, and it results in a shitty marriage. I think you should open up to the possibility of it based on your life goals, financial status, and partner, not based on your age. If you never plan to have kids, you've been dating your girlfriend for 10 years, and you still haven't figured out your career, don't just get married because everyone in your family is telling you it's time. If you're set on having children, your girlfriend is a decade older and she's taking care of your sick parents, and you have a career you're happy with, then yeah, it's probably a good idea. Married at 18. Still happily married 10 years later. I'm a strong advocate for marrying young, but only if you are and your partner are capable of the following 2 things. 1. Communication. As cliche as it sounds, some people seriously need to learn how to literally say what they are thinking. 2. Patience. More specifically, both partners need to realize that they are young and have a lot of growing to do. That means that change will happen, and it can create a powerful bond if you don't expect your partner to be perfect while admitting you aren't perfect yourself. Growing together is really quite beautiful if you both want to grow together. Married at 25. Divorced at 29. Don't do it for perceived society expectations. Married again at 33 and life is perfect. Your question seems to be revolving around age, but age has nothing to do with it. My advice: learn to love yourself first. I'm 60 and got married at 23 and had kids 3 years later. I sincerely regret getting married so young. I wish I could go back in time to tell my younger self not to do it. Live more, explore the world, don't get tied down too early in life. Just chiming in. Married a bit later than you. Many kids later too. I had/have meant at no point to get married unless we want kids. I'm actually the opposite in Minstead right now, hoping to have married and had kids a few years earlier. But in honesty, such choices, life might have turned out better or worse. Who knows? I married at 20. We are going in 17 years now. The upside is that you will grow together into your adult selves, and it will be a very good time most of the time. The downside is that you'll probably feel like you've missed out on certain life experiences that your peers had, and this can create a lot of FOMO and regret if one of you suddenly hits a midlife crisis, which will probably hit a bit earlier than you'd expect. I think it all comes down to the community of friends and family you have around you. If you have people that support you or have made the same choices as you, you'll probably do just fine. But if all your friends are single, or you move away and have to start again together in a new place with new people, it can be an isolating / uphill struggle. I'm glad we chose to get married young. We missed out on so much drama, established ourselves early, benefited from shared income / credit, and have generally been ahead of the curve compared to other couples our age. But boy, was it hard to make deep friendships at times. A lot of people our age just didn't know how to relate to us all throughout our 20s and early 30s. Now that we are in our late 30s, it's gotten much easier. Married at 23. She was 20. Now we are 50 and 47 and still going strong. But having said that, I wish we would waited till we were older and experienced life more. Outside social / religious pressures led to us getting married too young, but luckily it worked out. It depends a lot on emotional maturity and how well you know your true self. You have to love yourself before you can love others. Marriage is not a fake it till you make it thing. Some men are more mature than others, and it has more to do with life experience than chronological age. I got married to my first wife at 20. We were divorced by my 22nd birthday. I was also her second husband already. I should've known. We were entirely too young and dumb. I married my first wife at 26 and that was a terrible idea. I married my second wife at 38 and that was the best decision I ever made. I personally think 25 is too young, but it works for some. My parents were married at 21 and they are still together at 75. Wait, is 25 early? Seems like a perfectly reasonable age to me. Got married at 23, but to be honest, I would have married her after our second date 4 years earlier. We waited until we both graduated. Honestly, it's great to grow up together as a couple. Been married 15 years. We are very happy. So sweet. Congratulations. Married at 25. Now 27. Definitely can have a feeling now and then that mid-20s could have been very productive in other ways. Being completely honest. However, I love that woman to death and I would not change anything I have lived with her for anything in the world.